Hey everybody, thanks for joining today. We're going to do a quick tutorial on how to make a cute farmhouse wreath. So you are here because you either purchased or were gifted a kit to make the wreath. So let's go over what should be in your kit. The first thing is you should have this adorable wooden bead wreath. And it's going to be the bones of our wreath today. You should have a blank piece of wood, just a little rectangle that's included. You should have a bundle of buffalo check ribbon. You should have some wire, kind of hard to see, but just you should have a big piece of wire. It's probably maybe rolled up in your kit, but you should have wire, and you should have a makeup sponge tucked in your kit. So that's what your kit included, and your 2 little jars of paint. Okay, so step 1 is going to be painting our wooden block. So I didn't really want to spend tutorial time for you to sit and watch me paint a piece of wood. I trust you. So first things first, pick which color you want for your background color and paint your block, probably 2 coats. Give it 2 coats. I paint front and back. That helps seal it and keeps it from warping. And so give it 2 coats of paint, and then when it's dry and you're ready to hop back in, just hop back into the tutorial, whether it's in 15 minutes or 3 days. Doesn't matter. The tutorial video is here for you. So pause the video and get to painting, and then I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, welcome back. So I have painted my wooden block. This is a really pretty color called Inglenook. It's by Fusion Mineral Paint. The great thing about the paint that you use today is that it doesn't need a sealer. And when this cures, it's waterproof. So it's going to be great for your front porch, your front door. If you decide to hang your wreath there, it will not, it's waterproof and it will not fade in the sun. So great paint to use because it doesn't need a top coat. It's built in. All right, so the next thing we're ready to do is stamp our words on here. And I am using the farmhand stamp, which is these big Ray Dunn type letters. I like this one because they're fairly skinny, and we don't have a whole lot of room here, so I thought this would be a good set to use. So the first thing you're going to do when you have a brand new stamp is to peel this top plastic off. It's a plastic sheet, and save the sheet. We're going to use it in a minute. Okay. Now the first time that you use a stamp, we need to condition the stamp, and the way we do that is take our sanding block and drag it across. I just do it in one direction, and then I'm going to turn it, drag it across this way, and I'm just making microscopic scratches in the silicone surface of these stamps so that your paint or ink has something to grab onto. So drag across all the letters, all 4 directions, and it. Your stamps are conditioned, and you only have to do that once, so you're never going to have to condition this stamp again. It's ready to go. I'm going to spell out the word hello on my stamp. So I'm going to pull off my letters. So there's my H, E, L, and O. And the first time you pull letters off, they may be kind of hard to get off, and but that's okay. You're not going to tear these up, stretching these, trying to get them off. It's going to be fun. Okay, I'm going to play around with placement on my board. To see where I want to put those letters. So I'm going to have to use my L twice. So I need to make sure that when I place these down, and I'm going to use my finger to just kind of mark where that L ended, and I need to make sure I've got room. Need a little bit more room there. This is going to be a tight squeeze, but it's going to fit. L, yep, that will fit. So I'm just going to leave that there, L. Okay, so as you can see, and I'm going to turn this down, you don't need to see me, you need to see this board. All right, as you can see, I've got my letters, whoops, well darn, laid out. Let's see, I need to make sure my L will still fit. Yep. Okay, so I've got these laid out. The stamp side is down, like it will stamp, so the word should look normal to you. It should read just normal to you. Make sure your O is face side down, because if it's flipped the other way, you won't. It'll still look right. So make sure your O is down. So once they're all down, this is where this clear plastic sheet comes in that we saved. I'm going to lay it on top and just give it a light press. And when I pick it up, my letters have stuck to the surface. So this is how I'm going to stamp my word, keep my letters straight and the right spacing. All right, next thing we're going to do is ink these up. And you can use the stamps with ink or paint. Today we're going to use paint, the second color of paint that was in your kit. So you're going to want to pour just a little bit of paint out onto a paper plate, and this is where you need your makeup sponge. And a baby wipe. Okay, so the first step is going to be to take our makeup sponge and just put very little paint on the tip. So here's my paint. I just barely stuck it in, but now I'm dabbing to kind of spread it around evenly on the tip of my sponge and to kind of work some of it off. I just don't need a whole bunch on there. I don't want my stamp to be juicy necessarily. And then we're going to come in and lightly tap the top of these letters. If you press too hard, you're going to have paint that kind of oozes out around the stamp. So I am just lightly pressing the top of the letter to make sure I get paint on them, evenly distributed around. Okay, now I'm going to grab my baby wipe and I'm going to wipe off any paint that may have gotten on the background so that I don't get paint smudges on my wood. I can always paint over them, but just trying to be proactive. So wipe off the paint that kind of got on the background of the stamp. All right, now then, all inked up. Here we go. I'm gonna kind of hover in place over, kind of get my everything lined up kind of where I want it, and when I'm where I want it, I just set it down. Now with one hand I'm gonna hold, and with the other hand I'm just gonna run my finger along the top of each letter. And I'm holding in place so that my stamps don't move. So I don't want a smudge. So run my fingers over each letter. And then you can kind of lift and peek. Okay, that's not dark enough, so I'm going to press a little bit more. Right. And here, this side, I need down here. Okay. One of the advantages to using paint on our stamps is that it is cheap. But the disadvantage is that it can dry really quick. So I think I'm good. Right. So I didn't get a full impression on some of my letters. That's not a big deal. I can go back with a paintbrush and just fill in those little spots. Okay, now I need my L again. So I'm going to keep my L. The rest of these, I'm going to use my baby wipe to wash off the paint, off the stamp. Just kind of clean my stamps up before I put them away. So this just rubs over and you just kind of get that paint residue off. You can wash these in soapy water as well. You don't want to put them in the dishwasher though. Well, okay, so I'm going to put these back. The great thing about the stamps is that they are printed where the letters belong. So you know where to put them back, and you also can look at a glance and know if you have forgotten to put a stamp back on its place. Okay, now my L, I'm going to juice up my thing again, dab it in place. There we go. And then I'm going to hover it until I get it where I want it. Right there. And then press in place. There we go. Okay, so I'll come back with a paintbrush and just clean my H and my E up a little bit, but that's cute, don't you think? All right, while that dries, we are going to make the bow for our wreath. So I'm going to wipe off this paint and return it to its place. And I'm gonna make sure I save my clear topper for the next time I stamp. Okay, so next thing you need is your ruler and your ribbon and your piece of wire. And I want you to measure and cut the wire into 3 6-inch pieces. So measure out 6 inches, and it doesn't have to be precise. Or you can bend it into thirds and cut it that way. But you're going to need 3 6-inch pieces. So I've got my 3 pieces here. All right. So one of those pieces we're going to need for our bow. Okay. So unroll your piece of ribbon. This is a wired buffalo check ribbon. And the first thing I want you to do is measure out about 6 inches. Okay, now we are not going to be cutting the ribbon at all, at least not until the very, very end. All right, so measure out 6 inches and then slide that down to the end. Okay, so I've got 6 inches extending past my ruler. Right. Now measure out about, might help if I turn my ruler around, about 8 inches and fold it over. And you can kind of crease it there, okay? Now when I come back down here to the end of the ruler, I'm going to fold it over. So I have now some folded over pieces of ribbon, and I still have this piece sticking out. That's fine. It's going to stay sticking out. That's going to be the tail of our ribbon. All right. Come down here to 8 inches, fold it over. Back to a 0, fold it over. So I'm just going to keep making layers of 8-inch loops until I run out of ribbon. Fold it over, back and forth, 8 inches. So on this last piece, when I fold it over, I've got ribbon sticking out on this end. Okay, so I have all my layers in the middle, and then I have ribbon sticking out on both ends. That's what we want. Okay, now pick it up, and I want you to fold it in half, and I want you to find the middle of the looped pieces. We're ignoring these tails for now. Just fold it in half and find the middle of the loops. Okay, so let me get this where you can see, right? So these loops here and these loops here, I want to kind of line them up and find the middle, and I'm going to crease the middle of that really well, right? So we're ignoring these tails. Pull them out of the way. So do you see, I've got my loops. I probably can fold this one. That's probably not the middle. Let me adjust that just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now you can open it back up and take one of your wire pieces and put it in the middle, and we're going to pull it around and just cinch that ribbon tight and twist it a couple of times. Okay. So I've got this cinched in the middle with my wire. That's my tail, but here's some loops, and here's some loops, and here's my other tail. All right? All right, now I'm gonna pull this tail kind of down so it's out of my way. And I'm gonna pull the other tail down so it's out of my way. Now I'm gonna take these loops. We're gonna work one side at a time. Pull a loop up to the front, right, up to the front left, back to the front, well, back right and back left. So I'm going to kind of split those out. So it makes kind of an X maybe. Those 4 loops. All right. Turn it around. We're going to do the same thing. Pull the tail out of the way. Top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left. All right. Now you have a bow that looks like a hot mess, right? So now it's time to fluff. We're just gonna stick our fingers in, and we're gonna open those up so that the crease in the middle disappears. So just open them up, slide your fingers in, open them up, slide fingers in, open that up. Open this one up. We're just going to fluff these loops. And I've got these 2 over here. And one more. Okay. Now you can kind of begin to move and shape them the way you want, but now we've got a cute buffalo check bow. And you can, again, you can twist those loops however you need to kind of fluff them into place. But that's a cute bow. And then these are our 2 tails for our bow. All right. So next thing we're gonna do is, let's see, let's attach our sign to our wreath. So take a piece of wire, and I want you to stick it from the back into the front of the board. Maybe, what is that? Maybe about 1 inch. Can you see that? Okay. Then I want you to take your pliers and grab the tip and just begin to curl it. And then slip the pliers off. And that little curl is going to hold your wire in place. Right? So you're going to do that on both sides. Okay, stick your wire in about 1 inch. Take your pliers and create your little curl. Slide it off your pliers, and that's your little knot for your holder. Okay, now we're going to put this on our wreath, and you can decide how far down you want it to hang. I'll turn this around so you can see. You can decide how far down you want it to hang. Maybe kind of center it in the wreath. And then just use that wire to wrap around that bead a couple of times. And then you can clip your tail off. And tuck that in. Tuck that little end in so it doesn't just stick out. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. Figure out where I need it to hang so it's fairly level. Wrap my wire around the bead and clip it off. That little tail. And then tuck my loose end in. There we go. Okay, so now my sign is hanging in my wreath, and our last step is going to be to attach our ribbon. Now our ribbon still has the wire on the back, and we left it there so we could attach it to the wreath. So kind of find the center, your wreath. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 beads. So I'm going to kind of do it in the middle there. Wrap it around, twist that wire. Just kind of centered it. Then I'll trim that off. Or you can make a loop for it to hang. You can take that extra wire and just kind of make a loop. So I'll show you. I'm going to kind of stick my finger in and then twist those two ends together. So that I have a little hanging loop right there to hang my wreath from. Okay, now then, so my bow is in place, and then you can move your tails over to the side. You can kind of bend them, and I like to kind of ruffle them so that they frame your little plaque. And now is the point in time where you can even up the length of the tails. Grab your scissors. Refluff my bow a little bit. There we go. Grab my scissors. And this one needs to be cut off just a little bit. If you need to get your tails to stay in place, you can always do just a touch of hot glue on the tail to the wood bead, just to hold it in place a little if you need to. But that's it. Isn't that a cute, adorable wreath for your door? Yep, I think I'm going to need to glue my tails. There you have it, ready to go, ready to say hello. So I hope you enjoyed your tutorial. My name is Cindy. I am with Blue Star at Home on Facebook, Instagram, and bluestarathome.com. We'd love to have you follow us on social. We do fun craft things all the time with the Fusion Mineral Paint and the Iron Orchid Designs products like our stamps today. Do lots of furniture and crafts as well. So I hope you enjoyed your tutorial. Have a great time and enjoy the wreath in your home. Have a great day. Bye.